Hello and welcome to Driving EV in the UK. Now, as you are aware, I have a Ioniq electric. It is completely electric and therefore there's no moving parts. The reason why we went for electric over a hybrid petrol electric is that there is a number of factors that come into the difference. If you have a petrol car, you still have to put petrol in. The price of petrol is increasing year on year in most cases, and when the government feel like it, they will increase prices even more by increasing the duty on it. Also, with a petrol electric car, you have to still maintain and replace oil filters and all of the parts that a petrol car has. This is a downside to a petrol and electric. Yes, you won't run out of electric, but therefore the battery is so small that you can only do between 20 and possibly 40 depending on the make of car. So the distance you can drive on electric is normally fairly small. Most electric cars, when they're hybrids, only drive up to about 30 miles on the electric and then switch the petrol engine on to go beyond this. So I decided to pick a fully electric car on the grounds that I'm mad. No, actually, on the grounds of a few simple facts. The simple fact that all electric car therefore does not need any servicing, so I don't need to buy spark plugs, oil filters, fan belts and all of these things, and I don't have to fill the oil and drip half of it on my path or wherever else it needs doing. And don't forget, a service on a petrol car, depending on which one you've got, could be anything from £80 upwards. So if you don't need that, yes, the electric car does get some type of servicing, but it's mostly down to checking its brakes and other minor items, none of which are part of the drivetrain or its battery pack. There is software updates, but that's nothing dirty and nothing messy. So my decision wasn't to get a hybrid because petrol is going up in price and it's now gone back up to its £1.10 where I live against electric. And the other point was that my previous car was LPG and petrol. It started on petrol, switched to LPG after it warmed up, which was in summer less than a quarter of a mile and in winter about a mile. So over the year I would probably put in about £10 worth of petrol and the rest of it would be the LPG. £10 a month, so £120 a year, but I still had the petrol engine to service and do all of that, which does clock up some quite hefty bills. Now we move to the electric car. We move to the electric car because now we have no road tax at the minute. We also have many, if you look carefully and choose where you charge, there is still free chargers, and if you utilize those free chargers, your miles that you do become free, which is good. Once all chargers cost money, then you pick the cheapest place to go and charge, like you do when you have a petrol station. Who goes to the petrol station that charges you 10 pence more per litre of fuel? Or you go to the cheaper one. In most sensible cases, you pick the cheaper one. Now, we look at this in a logical and simple manner. An electric car costs you more money to buy, but the running costs and the savings over a petrol car will recoup the amount of money you're going to spend. Also, it depends on how long you're going to keep the car for. So many people, and too many people, buy a car and have it for 3 years and then get rid of it. they're constantly in the pay monthly large amounts of money out of their wages for a car just to have it new. This isn't my philosophy at all. Most of my cars, when I buy them, aren't new to start with, and they end up, by the time I'm finished with them, that they end up in the scrapyard. Now, my LPG car that I just had didn't. I sold it, and it's been sold to somebody else who now drives it, because there wasn't anything wrong with it, but I decided much sooner than I would have to change and get the electric car because of the current benefits that there is of having the electric car, that there is the free charging at a number of the charge points. So I aimed for saying, well, let's get the free charging and let's try and save a bit of money and let's get out more. When you have a car that costs you 20 pence a mile, it may not sound much, but if you are watching your money and you don't have very much, then that type of expense of saying I spend £20 a week putting petrol in the car, that for some people is a very large expense, and there is people who spend much more than that because that's just what their car costs. So when I lost my road tax and it's now zero, the money for the road tax has been held. Now, I had several months worth of road tax money because my road tax is due on the other car was due in January. So I put away money every single month to cover the road tax for when it comes in January. Now, I bought the car in August, which means I had between January and August payments that I'd been putting in for the road tax. So that money, which is about £100, is now transferred by technically paperwork as being my electric charging fund, and my road tax money that I would be putting into the bank and holding until is actually still being paid into the, I'm still putting it away and assigning it to electricity, which means that I have now £180 over a year of what would have been road tax is now an electric fund. So I can spend £180 a year putting electricity and charging the car. My first month passed and I didn't spend anything. The money still gets put away and I'll keep putting it away. But that's what happens. You utilise and you find the cheapest points of where you can charge. There is places that charge, and it doesn't say I will never use those places, but I will selectively choose on my decision whether I will use the charger which charges your money to use. The dearer the charger, the more I will look to a different charger and say, well, I will go to that one instead. I won't just stop off to charge at a very expensive charger. Now, with this, we save money. Last year, my petrol and gas cost near £900. Doesn't sound a lot. It is a lot. But many people spend much more than that. So that £900 and that monthly expense went to paying the loan on the car as part of its payments. And because we're in lockdown and I'm not going out as much as I would and not spending as much as I would, I am now better for paying the loan than I was when I took the loan out. I was waiting and virtually demanding, when are you going to take the payment? The money's in the bank. Because I set up what I class is a really sensible system, in that I don't aim for the monthly amount of what the car loan is. I broke it down into 4 weekly payments of that amount. But some months have 5 weeks in, And if you take it, there is technically 13 4-week periods in a year, which means that by the time a year's passed, I will be ahead 1 month worth of payments. So therefore I will have a safety net in place. But that's not really what happened, because I have been so good at not buying anything, and we've had a 5-week month, and I didn't spend money on things that I didn't need or want. I now have that safety net in place after the first month. I already have next month's payment for the loan 1 week after I have paid it already. And this is the best way to be. You want to be ahead. You want to stay ahead of a payment going out, because your payments or whatever money you have don't go in banks always on the same day, on the same date, every single. So you want to make sure the money is in the bank. So moving to an electric car and saving money and all of this does help with that no end. So you must think about that. I am now driving more than I have ever driven. I am now more happy to take the car for the silliest things, because as I can fill up for nothing, those trips become irrelevant to my pocket. And because they're irrelevant to my pocket, I will do trips that I wouldn't normally do. But in some of those trips that I don't normally do, I am going to places that I haven't been to for a while, but I am also, in most cases, spending money in those places that I haven't been to. So, providing me with the electricity, especially when I went around Scotland, wasn't, that's it, you're providing me with electricity for nothing. I am actually spending money at the places when I get to the places. I'm buying food, I'm buying drink, I'm buying items from the shops. So I am providing money back to you in sales in those places. And some of these places, since I kept away from any big place, all of these are small little places that I spend money. If you have something that I like and it's a good price, I will buy it. So that is how we now look at the electric car. So I've done this a month after I've actually got it. So this is how I feel a month after having the electric car. My attitude and how happy I am and things like that have all changed. I'm not depressed as I was, and miserable of how a rotten year this has been. But let's see you on the next video. Please come back. Please like, comment, subscribe. Bye for now.